In this video, I'll present you the top 10 most horrific villain deaths from Disney animated films. I warn you, some of these are pretty horrible, and you may have not thought about it when you're watching the films as a youngster, but as an adult, you get to realize how badly some of them went out. And so without any further delay, are you ready? Let's get started. Number 10. Gaston, Beauty and the Beast. Now, Gaston is one of those Disney villains that from a certain perspective does not really seem like a villain, even though he has an entire song where he basically sings about how great he is. Unfortunately for him, it's precisely his arrogance that manages to get him in trouble and ultimately leads to his death, when he falls off the Beast's castle. It is a frightening scene because his horrified expression shows that he knows exactly what's happening and that he can't do anything to stop it. And now here's a cool detail about this scene. For a brief moment, you can see skulls appearing in Gaston's eyes as he falls, if you freeze the scene right here. Number 9. Ursula from The Little Mermaid. Death by impalement is also a truly horrifying death. So while dealing with Ariel, Ursula doesn't notice Eric on the ship with the sharp end, and she's impaled with that sharp end going through right her. When Eric rams her with the ship, it's a stark reminder that even the lightest and brightest of Disney colorful animated movies can have its violent moments too. Number 8. The Evil Queen, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Her death is equally frightening, as she is chased in a heavy rainstorm to the edge of the cliff by the dwarves, where she tries to roll on a giant boulder down on top of them. However, a lightning bolt strikes by her feet, breaks the rocky outro beneath her, and sends her plummeting down, with the boulder following right behind her. The look of the unlocking vulture says it all. Number 7. Mother Gothel, Tangled. Hades caught up with her and she turned to dust while falling down. Eugene cuts down Rapunzel's hair, and in a flash, Mother Gothel turns horrifically into Granny Gothel, and soon into Dust Gothel. Her ending is one of those pretty hard to see without looking away. Number 6. Frollo, the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Frollo was basically sent into a fire pit, but here's exactly what happened. It truly is one of the most artistically and thematically mature Disney films ever, and that also applies to the death scene of the film's central villain, Frollo. Now, Disney fans will remember that he plans to his death in a river of molten metal, while the water spout he had been standing on seems to come to life and prepares to devour him. It is a truly frightening moment and easily one of the top Disney villain deaths. And now, before you feel bad for the horrific end of Frollo, let me simply remind you this scene.
What are you doing?
Number 5. Dr. Facilier, Princess and the Frog. Dr. Facilier is quite literally dragged into hell. And now this is one of the most scary deaths, since after failing to repay his debt, Dr. Facilier is seen begging, terrified, and he is literally being dragged to hell. Well, after all he did, you can't say he did not deserve it though. Number 4. Syndrome, The Incredibles. He got killed by a plane, got shredded, and then got blown up. Throughout the movie, we heard Edna emphasizing the importance in superhero costumes having no capes. Well, as it turned out in the end of the film, that was not just a silly reference. As it turned out, Syndrome meets his end because his cape draws him into the plane's engine, and to add to that, the plane also exploded. And now, before I give you my top 3, here are a few honorable mentions that were left just out of the top 10. Number 3. Scar, Lion King. Scar basically gets eaten alive by his hyena henchman. After his battle against Simba, Scar is being thrown over the Pride Rock and lands painfully underneath, surrounded by flames. But that is not the horrifying part, as soon enough his former hyena friends appear, but it turns out that they are no longer his friends, and so they basically eat him alive. Number 2. Rourke, from The Lost Atlantis. Now, Rourke has an unusually scary and graphic death for a Disney villain, which, while technically bloodless, is shown fully on screen. So, he's scratched by a shard of the Atlantean material that he's been sent to retrieve, and its reaction spreads across his whole body, turning him into a frightening crystalline monster that's eventually shattered by the propellers of his escape craft. Ouch. Number 1. Clayton, Tarzan. Clayton accidentally hanged himself. The final fight between Tarzan and Clayton begins with Clayton climbing some trees to get at Tarzan, which throws an assortment of vines at Clayton, which wrap around his arms and legs. Unfortunately for Clayton, some of those vines wrap around his neck. Clayton starts cutting down the vines in fury, leaving the ones around his neck for last. We see Clayton fall, screaming, and then a shot of a vine tighten. And now something you probably missed. If you look closely, when the lightning flashed, it reveals a shadow of Clayton's lifeless corpse hanging in the air. The shadow is only there for a few seconds, but it is very unsettling to see. And that's all everyone, thank you for watching. Which villain death is the most horrific in your opinion? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to smash like and subscribe. Until the next one, have an amazing time and I'll see you all later.
I just got a date with an ice cream truck.